几十万维吾尔人被关进拘留营，女性在羁押期间竟遭受性虐待。你没有听错，这是 BBC 主持人在直播节目上亲口说出的指控。这是2021年建党100年前夕 BBC 强硬问答主持人斯蒂芬萨克尔把中国前外交官前邓小平翻译高志凯教授请上了节目，表面上是对话，实际上是一场精心设计的围攻。一开口，这位史蒂芬就亮出底牌，党是宣传机器，新疆是人间地狱，天安门的血还没干。话音未落，他又搬出联合国报告，声称有视频照片为证，说维吾尔族女性在羁押期间遭受性虐待。这种令人窒息的抹黑，一句比一句狠，每一个问题都是精心设计的陷阱。要么你承认是邪恶政权，要么被扣上替党撒谎的帽子，这哪里是采访，分明是一场审判。没想到高志凯教授没有被这股火药味逼退，他不卑不亢，每一击都正中要害，让这位傲慢的 BBC 主持人一次又一次哑口无言。让我们来看高志凯教授是如何一一拆解这场围攻的。
Allow me to disagree with you again. Why? Because I would say any society everywhere in the world today has some taboo list. It may differ from one country to another, but don't tell me that there is any country that you have freedom of speech in absolute term rather than conditional term, where you have freedom of expression without any conditions to it. No, I would say freedom or human rights all exist, not in a vacuum, but relative to rights and obligations. In China, we have our own freedom, we have our own democracy. It's conditioned to circumstances in China. And in China, there is a short list of red button issues you are not allowed to talk about. For example, Tibet independence, Xinjiang independence, or Hong Kong independence. For example, if anyone wants to declare Hong Kong as a republic of Hong Kong, it will be wiped out immediately. It's not part of the freedom of democracy as we understand in China. But you cannot say that the rest of the system in China is not freedom or human rights. I would make one point. Without empowering the people, you cannot change China from a very backward country to the second largest economy in the world today. And also, don't forget, the Chinese economy is larger than that of the United States today if you use purchasing power parity. So we are talking about revolutionary changes.
Right, but the thing is,
deny that China has its inner qualities and strengths that maybe some Western countries fail to fully understand.
the real fact is, and we have this from databases and research done by independent human rights groups, that thousands upon thousands of Chinese citizens are currently being detained under what is called a residential surveillance at designated location system, which, because of their views and expressions which are not satisfactory for the Communist Party government, they are now in effect detained in isolation, and that might happen to you if you express dissent. So how do I know that you're speaking from your heart?
Stephen, let me tell you one thing for sure. I'm speaking with you now from the bottom of my heart. I'm a man of decency. I'm a man of honesty and high level of credibility.
But you're a man who's living in a severely and increasingly repressive system. Do you not acknowledge that?
No, I disagree. I would say China is the largest internet society. There are more people using smartphone or internet connections in China than any other country in the world. Do you really believe that the Chinese people using their smartphone or internet connections without doing lots of chatting, for example?
But excuse me, Mr. Gao, but we know for sure that the Chinese government has one of the most repressive monitoring systems of the internet in the entire world. You yourself have a social credit score, which is based upon your performance, your expression online and in your public and daily life. And that credit score affects everything about your life. We also know that if you went to your television in a different room in your house right now and tried to watch BBC World News, you wouldn't be able to because the Chinese government has blocked it. This is the reality of the government that you live with today.
I actually highly respect the BBC, and I talk to your BBC colleagues quite a lot, probably more often than any other people in China. However, the censorship of BBC is not because of the contents of BBC, it's because the British government closed down CGTN in London first. And the closure of BBC in China is a retaliation against the wrong decision of the British government. And I want to say this to you. I want to do whatever I can to restore BBC to normal operation in China. If, for example, you can reciprocate by allowing the normal operation of CGTN in Britain. This will make both China and Britain better.
Right, let me ask you a personal question of opinion. Xi Jinping engineered the removal of term limits. Back in the early 1980s, the Communist Party thought it wise, certainly given the experience under Mao Zedong, thought it wise to impose a two-term limit on the presidency. Xi Jinping, just a couple of years ago, engineered its removal. Personally speaking, do you think that was a mistake?
Allow me to make this point. Even if President Xi Jinping served in his leadership position all the way up to 2035, Xi Jinping by then, by 2035, would be younger than Deng Xiaoping, for whom I worked as his interpreter.
Yeah, I'd just like a direct answer to the question. Do you think the removal of term limits was a mistake?
My answer to your question, Stephen, is that China now needs a very strong, powerful leader who sees where China is and why China needs to stand firm on matters of principle on the global stage and refuse to cave in to whatever pressure coming from Washington. This is the leader we need, and Xi Jinping is indeed this kind of leadership that China is very much embracing right now.
Much of the pressure that China faces right now isn't actually coming just from the United States. It's coming from the entire international community and indeed from the United Nations as well. I'm just looking at the most recent UN Human Rights Council report. Grave concern about the human rights situation in Xinjiang. There are allegations that the Uyghur minority over many years now has faced by the hundreds of thousands, internment in detention camps, that women have been sexually abused in detention, that many Uyghurs have been forcibly transported out of the area to work elsewhere in China. These allegations backed by video and photographic evidence and data that has been leaked from China. Are you prepared, again, because of the way in which you say that you don't have a problem with the way speech is controlled in China, are you prepared to tell me that that is fundamentally wrong and you want it to change?
With due respect to you, Stephen, allow me to say I believe you are fundamentally wrong. Why? Because the United States or the Five Eyes countries or some European countries, they cannot really be bold enough to say that they represent the totality of the international community. And every year at the United Nations Human Rights Council, whatever vote bad-mouthing about China, let's say up to about 25, 35, 40 member states, should be outvoted by another resolution sponsored by more than 90 countries. So I would say whatever you believe is the truth is not the universal truth that the international community all embraces.
Well, if
for Xinjiang, I remember we talked about Xinjiang. Allow me to say, Xinjiang is part of China. It will remain part of China for thousands of years and longer to come. And the Uyghur brothers and sisters are part of our national fabric. No one can change these two megatrends involving Xinjiang. I will go to Xinjiang next month. I will be very proud in hopefully reporting to you and BBC colleagues about what I see with my own eyes, with my own conscience about the realities in Xinjiang. Because I really believe people in Xinjiang of so many different ethnic groups, they benefit from stability and development, and their living standards are improving, and they do not buy all these fabrications about the bad situations in Xinjiang. Why? Because they are not true. That's the fundamental point about Xinjiang.
看完这场采访，我的第一个感受不是愤怒，是一种复杂的心情，对高教授沉着应对的钦佩和对西方媒体这套把戏早已见怪不怪的疲倦感交织在一起。这位斯蒂芬在节目里至少设了3个坑，我们一个一个来看。第一个坑我叫他伪，代表全人类。他搬出联合国人权理事会的报告说， 整个国际社会都在谴责中国新疆，听起来义正言辞。但高教授直接点破了每次涉新疆的不利决议，投票支持的不过20-30个国家，而支持中国立场的决议背后却有超过90个国家联署，90-30，这叫整个国际社会。这不过是美国和五眼联盟外加几个西欧小圈子的立场，拿少数人的声音包装成全人类的判决，这就是典型的话语霸权。第二个坑叫你沉默即有罪，史蒂芬每一个问题都是2选1的套路，要么承认，要么辩解，看似给你发言的机会，实际上2条路都通向同一个结论，但高志凯教授偏偏选了第3条路，直接拆解问题本身的假设，让对方的逻辑陷阱瞬间失效。第3个坑叫自由是西方的专利，这就是典型的认知失调。他们一边高喊普世人权，一边把人权的定义权牢牢握在自己手里，用自己制定的标准衡量所有人不达标的一律是压迫者。打个比方，这就像一个考了60分的学生指住90分的同学说，你没考到100分，所以你根本不算优秀。这种逻辑只有在一个前提下能成立，就是他自己就是标准答案。事实呢，中国用不到40年的时间让8亿多人口彻底脱离了绝对贫困，这是人类历史上从来没有过的壮举。而美国在全球拥有800多个军事基地，却始终以民主灯塔自居，这样的国家站在什么立场来审判别人的人权？最让我触动的是高教授说的一句话，我说的每一个字都是发自内心的。在那样剑拔弩张的氛围下说出这句话，需要的不只是底气，更是对自己国家一种深入骨髓的认同感。我们中国人深知一个民族要被世界尊重，靠的从来不是别人的怜悯，靠的是站出来，用清晰的逻辑，用不卑不亢的姿态告诉这个世界，我们的故事只有我们自己才有资格书写。历史的车轮不会因为某几个媒体或某几个所谓人权组织就改变它前进的方向。最后，史蒂芬问高教授，中共的执政方式能再持续100年吗？高教授的回答是不止100年，还要更长。而我倒想反问这位史蒂芬，一个靠住抹黑来打压对手却始终打不赢的媒体，他自己还能撑几年？这期你们怎么看？评论区见。